All right. So recording in progress. That way we'll be able to document March's meeting. Oh, I don't like that. You guys see me?
Yeah.
Kind of. So I'm going to turn off my camera and turn it back on, which I don't want to cause a problem for anybody. So welcome to, all right, you're going to get to hear my voice. Welcome to the Charitable Roundtable for the month of March. I am excited to have all of you with us on today as we have a phenomenal speaker. But before doing that, we want to make certain we give everyone an opportunity to quickly take 30 seconds and simply say your name and the organization or business that you are with, because we want to make certain that we jump into this month's information. We are privileged to have Mr. Frank Agan with us, who is the creator of the Charitable Roundtable, making a space for us to come in and discuss topics that are important to nonprofits. And so, hey, Frank. And so at this point, I'm going to go by my screen from my top to the left. I didn't pay attention to who came in first, but I'm going to make certain that I get all of you. So we'll start with Jerry, then go with Luis, and then Newton.
Hey guys, this is Jerry Brown. I'm a senior investment and portfolio consultant at PNC Bank.
Hi everyone, my name is Luis Sosa, and I am the founder of Lovework Media, basically a production company where we work with nonprofit organizations to help them continue to communicate and expand their mission. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Newton Kimberly. I work with Ohio Wesleyan University as one of the career catalysts, specifically with careers in social impact. I worked with nonprofits for 8 years before coming back, so happy to help shape the next generation of nonprofit practitioners.
Wonderful. Now we'll have Teresa, then Margie, and Diane.
Hi, I'm Teresa Brown. I'm with Cup of Purpose Recovery Cafe, a safe space for love, connection, and community, serving all people anywhere in the recovery process so that they can find their own path to their best, most peaceful and purposeful life.
Hi everyone, I'm Margie Miller. I'm with Oakwood Management.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Diane Kaler. I own a health and wellness business with the Shackley Corporation in direct sales. We also have a philanthropic arm where we plant trees and we also feed children in need.
Thank you, Diane. Next, we'll have Zoe, Jerry, and Loren.
Hi, everyone. I'm Zoe Van Dyke, and I am the development manager for communities in schools of Ohio. And Jerry, I think you said you're with PNC. Adam Gaw. I don't know if you know Adam, but he's on our board.
Jerry Feaster with Pay It Forward Fundraising. We're the exclusive partner with in Ohio for with the entertainment digital savings. It's a great fundraiser. If you guys remember the old the old entertainment books, they have now went completely digital, and we help organizations set up their fundraising with it's a free website that can help promote your where people order the entertainment memberships to help with all your fundraising.
I'm Lauren Williams with PCs for People, and we're a nonprofit 501c3. We turn retired corporate and other organizational computers into home computers for low-income families. And I'm in Chicago, but we also function in Ohio and many other geographies around the country.
Thank you, Lauren. And next we will have SJ and then followed by Brian.
Hello, my name is SJ. I am known as the Education Sherpa. I also take on a number of independent consulting contracts, including with the SBDC and several others. I am a friend of the Roundtable.
Thank you, Brian. Are you there?
Okay, which Brian?
Brian Curtis.
Brian Curtis.
Yeah, because there are two of us.
I understand.
All right. Good evening. This is Brian Curtis. So I do community outreach for the Awesome Company, which is a custom screen printing studio. We print t-shirts and apparel to employ adults with autism. So technically we're considered a friend of the group, but I also volunteer for the Columbus Arts Festival. So they're looking for volunteers for this June's festival because it takes 400 volunteers to run a 3-day festival near downtown Columbus. And then when I'm not doing that, I am one of the volunteers for WCRS FM, a low power FM radio station run entirely by volunteers in Columbus. And I'm putting all my information in the chat.
Thank you so much, Brian. Okay, so I wanted to make certain that I gave everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves. I purposely saved 2 people for last not because of anything wrong, but because they are amazing. And of course, that is the creator of the Charitable Roundtable, Mr. Frank Agan, and then Mr. Brian Reinbold, who is our speaker for today. So if you would, Frank, introduce yourself, and then I will introduce Brian.
All right, Frank Agan. I'm an entrepreneur in Columbus, Ohio, and my business, my career, my life is connecting people. Back in 2015, I just started connecting not-for-profits in this space. It started out as a face-to-face meeting. COVID changed those plans, brought us onto Zoom, but it's allowed me to allowed us to connect with people from Orlando to Chicago to Rockford, Illinois, and points beyond. So it's really kind of a neat thing. Thanks.
Thank you, Frank. And so I didn't introduce myself. So I am Mary Jenkins, the founder of the Cancer Option Collaborative, previously Christians Overcoming Cancer, where we raise money to help people that are in active treatment pay their bills while they go through. So at this time, I want to present to some and introduce to others, Mr. Brian Reinbold, who is on the board of Brave Hearts for Kids. And his topic for today is good ideas and great ideas. And what I have had the privilege of listening to him share, totally, it just excited me. And so you are in for a treat. And so at this time, I would like to share and present Mr. Brian Reinbold.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
At the heart of the matter is something that I've found, that any well-intentioned idea can be a good idea. But there are only a few of those good ideas that we can put our time, our talent, our energy, and our love into. And those are the ideas that we turn from good ideas into great ideas. And today we'll be sharing a bit about how we go about doing this. Have you ever, as a leader in a nonprofit organization, have you ever had someone say, "Hey, I have an idea. You should you should do a 5K. You should have this, you should do that." We hear that all the time, right? And I'm gonna put myself into gallery here. That way I can see you all better. We found in working with the Brave Hearts for Kids organization, I had the opportunity to join the board of directors back in 2015. And at that time, I took the title Mission Specialist. And if you see my display behind me, it's all NASA and Mercury and globes and Apollo and all this stuff, because the founders of Brave Hearts for Kids are from Houston, Texas. They used to be from Bismarck, and that's where I have the connection with them, because I spent most of my life in Bismarck. But Jeremy and Amy Jacobs are the parents of a little girl who's now a junior in high school. And when she was a baby, Jeremy, one of the people that runs NASA, heard about a 3-dimensional proton radiation technology that was able to be part of saving their daughter's life. They started Brave Hearts for Kids to do outreach and help other families to have a similar outcome, have a positive outcome when they hear the diagnosis that your child has cancer. And so in 2015, that was back in 2008 when I first got introduced to the organization. Over that time, they were what I call a mom and pop charity, or a kitchen table charity. And you're maybe all familiar with that kind of charitable work too, where someone has an idea, or there's something on their heart that says, we want to accomplish something with this, and they set out to do something to have an impact. And with Brave Hearts for Kids, the idea that Jeremy and Amy had was to be mentors for other families. And there was only so far that they could go with that, because they had a sick daughter, they had a young family, and they both had very, very busy careers. And so we got involved as my wife and I got involved as friends of the organization. And in 2015, they became a 501c3 public charity. And at that time, Sherry and I were asked to join the board, and we did. And we had two different approaches to how we should go about this. One was, I thought, man, I got to start raising money. And Sherry said, we have to be something. And so I found that idea of raising money and being something, providing a service, are two sides of the same coin. You can't raise money without providing a service, and you can't provide a service without raising money. They're just connected like both sides of a coin. Well, we were involved with the board for a couple of years, and in 2018, I'll tell you a story about how we came up with the good ideas into great ideas concept. And in 2018, what we did is we had a workshop. We got together with the board of directors on a summer Friday, and we had 3 brainstorming sessions in the morning. And what we did is we came up with 900 good ideas, 7 people. On a Friday morning. By Saturday afternoon, we had that worked down to 3 that we were going to turn from good ideas into great ideas. And I'll just share with you how this works when you're doing this in a live situation. We have done it on Zoom. To me, it's just more difficult to do it on Zoom, but you can do it with Google has some services and mural boards and things like that. We'll make this work if that's what you want to do. But what we did is we took a bunch of pieces of paper with 20 light bulb outlines on them, and gave each of the board members a stack of those, and said, write down all the ideas that you have for raising money or providing a service. And so we had 3 topic areas for 45 minutes each of these things, and we everyone had a stack of sheets to write ideas on. A 5K run, let's have hot air balloon rides with a zip line down to the riverboat. And every idea, every well-intentioned idea is a good idea. That's the standard that we use. We presume positive intent. We expect the best, and every well-intentioned idea is a good idea. And then we started passing the idea sheets around, rotating them after 3 or 5 minutes, when everyone had had a chance to write down a brainstorm of ideas. And then the first thing that the next person would do is look at the ideas, and that would spark even more ideas. And it would get them starting to think about, man, there was one, you know what? By the time lunch rolled around the first day, we had people talking about, I saw this one idea, and somebody said, I saw that too. I like that idea. I think we should do that. I think we should have a festival for kids, you know, and that was how it began to boil down, if you will, to 3 that we decided to turn into great ideas. And we started also with the premise that we can't do everything as much as we'd like to, and as much as we believe and promote the idea of abundance. It's just ridiculous to think that you can do all the, first of all, hot air balloon rides with a zip line down to the riverboat. Frank, do you think we'd run that by the lawyers and see how that might work out? You know, there's some things just have more problems than upside. So what we wound up with to wrap up the story is at the end of the second day, we came up with 3 ideas, 3 things that we would work on. 1, we would create a mobile app for the smartphones that allows families to find resources wherever they are, resources that are close to them. We've got about 6,000 resources on our mobile app. It's called Spotlight Hope, has its own website, spotlighthope.org. That was the first of the 3 ideas. The second one was something that evolved into Bravehearts Radio, and essentially has evolved into my work with the Charitable Roundtable, because it was the idea that doing good anywhere does good everywhere. If we help someone else, it doesn't hurt us. It makes the world better. That makes our organization stronger. And that, you know, that was an idea that we promoted. It became what I called Bravehearts Radio. I had a radio show for a couple of years. Among my best guests on the show were Frank Agan. Thanks, Frank. And Frank also referred some other people to the show that were just absolutely outstanding guests on the show. Doing good anywhere does good everywhere, and it's something I really believe that. And we made that happen. And then the third thing that we decided to really run with was something called National Bravehearts Day. One of our board members is the founder of something called the National Day Calendar. So Marlo came up with this idea 10 years ago to have a National Day Calendar. He said, that'd be a hoot. You know, and now he travels the country helping people celebrate their national days. And I use him as an example of someone who's doing something that I didn't see the table on career day. You know, that just is really over the top. But National Bravehearts Day, April 28th, is National Bravehearts Day. And so we celebrate that. We made it into something of a fundraiser. And since they have their own radio station, National Day Radio, I took over the station on National Bravehearts Day last year, which also happens to be National Superheroes Day. So we had a wonderful tie-in there. You know, how do you tie in National Bravehearts Day and National Superheroes Day? Well, you can be a superhero by supporting the Bravehearts for Kids. You know, so we did something like that, and it was a lot of fun. So those are the 3 things that we came up with, and there were things that were like, okay, that's really a good idea, and we want to do that. So we got to put that on the back burner, so that you got that too. And so one of the things that we did there was something about children's festivals, and in particular River Fests, with the idea that the family that plays together stays well together. And that we launched in full spirit in 2019, and had a lot of things ready to go in 2020. And then none of those festivals were happening in 2020, and we really haven't gotten that back up to speed even at this point. But that's something that's it's a good idea that needs some time, talent, energy, and love. to turn it into a great idea. And just the final thing to say about that: time, talent, energy, and love. I'd always described changing a good idea into a great idea by using your time, your talent, and your energy. And it was through the community online over the last few years, in this community in particular, that caused me to add love to that, because it's always been a part of what makes us effective and makes us work. But it seems like now we're more able to open up about it, talk about it, and tell people how much we love them and care for them. Maybe it's just a change for me, but I see it in the communities. So time, talent, energy, and love. And yeah, that's my opening with good ideas into great. And if we'd like to do some breakouts, maybe move into some breakouts and share some brainstorming, see how many ideas you can come up with on a particular topic. You can pick the topic. I know we had talked about doing breakouts, but I'm not sure.
We don't have time to do that today.
We don't have time?
No, but we can, while we're all together, ask people for some good ideas. And
you know what, and the reality is that we're not such a big group that we need to break it up. Let me ask this: Does anyone have a particular topic that they'd like to try this exercise with?
I can, if no one else does.
Lauren, thank you, Lauren.
So my topic is, how can I meet more people from organizations with 200 or more employees that I can talk to about our mission and about our no charge electronics recycling service that fuels our mission? Is that a concise enough topic and understandable?
Well, let me see if I can feed that back to you, Lauren, because I know a bit about what you do. You'd like to how to meet more people that run organizations or are decision makers in organizations with 200 or more employees that have electronic equipment that is suitable for recycling?
Yeah, that works. That works.
And if we were in a group at a table, everybody would have would have sheets of paper with light bulbs on it. So just maybe just to
have some questions.
To start putting ideas into the chat, or just say an idea.
Let me help in this, because I think that's a great start. So you're asking basically how to network with people that have businesses that have more than 200 employees. And so that's something that all of us really would like to know that are in the nonprofit space, is how do we get in front of people where we can share our mission? And so what I would invite each of you to do is, if you have an idea, to put it in the chat, so that way we can talk about the different ideas. While you're doing that, I have some questions for Brian, because he mentioned something 3 times, but he didn't go into the details about it. And so, Brian, you said when it comes to having an idea that's good to great, that it takes time, talent, energy, and love. So when you say time, can you elaborate a little about what you mean by time? And then when you say talent, elaborate a little bit what you mean by talent and energy, so that way people can understand, because those of us that are in the nonprofit space, we're always looking for ideas but how can we take that time, talent, energy, and love and put that in place as well?
That's a great observation, and I really appreciate the question, Mary. What I've found is that when I work on something that I'm good at and that I love to do, it's really not work. You can just get up and roll with it and get going. So if an idea, like let's say there was something we did. Okay, we're going to have a golf tournament. Why? People have golf tournaments as fundraisers. I'd been involved in a lot of them, and I thought, how hard can that be? It's a lot harder than I thought it was, because what I'd been involved with in a golf tournament was participating or being on a board and doing, not setting the whole thing up and all that. So there was, what I found with that particular situation was it took so much time that I felt that it's not the best use of my talent, and that sapped the energy from me for doing that, for other things like that. Does that make sense?
So you were saying for that, you put a lot of energy in, but it wasn't something that you had love and passion about. So
well, I had love it. I did have some love for it, but it was also we were trying to set something up. So ran into someone at a Christmas party, and they said, "Oh, you should have a golf tournament. I have a golf course." Oh, okay. So someone with well, it turned out he was one of 20 stockholders in a golf course. It wasn't really his golf course, so that wasn't as easy and free as everything was supposed to be. But it was also about an hour from where we lived. So driving up to a community, joining the Chamber of Commerce there, getting involved in the community, getting to know people, and then asking them to be sponsors when I was really a stranger to them. I remember sitting down having lunch with the guy, and I thought I knew him pretty well. He said, "I like you, I just don't know you." And there's there are things that maybe the idea of the talent is the first step for me, is do what you do best. And like with the charitable roundtable here to present, and with the Bravehearts radio show, I just absolutely loved having the conversations with people about ideas, and about the idea of doing good anywhere does good everywhere, and what is it that you're doing, and how did you get where you are, what are you doing now, what are your plans for the future, how do we connect with you for your book and such. Just absolutely love doing that. And I didn't mind so much setting that up because I was connecting with people and doing that, but the technical part of things, promoting it, and so that just wasn't something that I had the talent for, and so the energy was lacking there. I didn't put the time into it, and I have an idea, of course, an idea that when there's someone that has an idea, has a presentation to make, they're the point person. There's a triangle which has someone like me as an MC or mission specialist, and then the third person in that triangle is the technical person, someone that makes sure that the tech goes well. And when I've done that role with people, that has been really successful for me, because I just absolutely love being the MC, being the mission specialist,
So
You
know
that
what you're passionate about.
mission specialist, I don't fly the rockets. I just help make sure the trip goes well.
I love that.
So that's,
Let me pause you for a moment because
Yeah.
we've got some responses in the chat.
all right. Looks
so
like a lot of them.
Before Zoe left, she said, find out who their community relations liaison is and send them an email to schedule a meeting. That's my go-to, which is true. Many businesses, they have their information on, or they have their key employee contact information on websites. And so you can actually obtain their email address and send them an introductory meeting. And what I'm finding now is a lot of them have their Calendly, where you can actually schedule a 15 or 30-minute meet and greet. And so, Lauren, that will help you. Also, it was said, do you change businesses for collecting these electronics for pickup? Or do you charge? I'm sorry. Do you charge businesses for collecting these? Oh, so that's an actual question for you, Lauren. If you can, you already responded to that. Whoops, sorry. And I saw another one that I wanted to make certain that I highlighted from Margie. She said,
Yeah.
for meeting decision makers in Columbus, breakfast with Business First is a great place to start. There are a lot of top executives that go to that breakfast. Also, volunteering with the Chamber of Commerce is also a great place to start. They generally have something similar to a welcoming community where they deliver welcome packets to the organizations that join or renew. Now, I will say this. I can actually speak on this one. Columbus Breakfast with Business First. It is held, and Margie, please correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the third or the fourth Friday of the month? It's either the third or fourth Friday. If you don't know, please, we'll find out. But it is someplace that as a nonprofit, you definitely want to go. I went for the first time last month, and I had the privilege of meeting the president. Okay, so it's the fourth Friday of each month. It's at like 7:30 in the morning, 7 a.m. It's early. Whew. But I'm glad I went. I had the opportunity to meet the president of FC Bank. She is amazing. Her name is Jenny Saunders. We have developed a relationship, and she invited me to join her at an event on Wednesday, which put me in position to meet a bunch of other executives. And so if you're looking to put yourself in that type of place to where you're meeting people that are, your C and executive people, then definitely that is some place to go. And I'm going to use that to make a plug right here. Oh, no, not now. Hold on. Something's wrong with my internet. I don't know. Let me talk about next month. So next month's Charitable Roundtable meeting, we're having a guest speaker by the name of Chris Borhoff. Those of you who know Chris knows that he is all about networking, becoming a better networker, and Networking Breakthrough Academy and all those things. And so he is coming to speak specifically on networking to create winning relationships. And so if you want to, as a nonprofit, it is important to have these types of relationships. So that was a great question that you asked, Lauren, and then great information that you put, Margie, to help us segue into that, to talk about the fact that our speaker next month is bringing that information. Then as far as volunteering with the Chamber of Commerce, definitely. They do have the welcome packets, and you can volunteer to deliver them. And so it's an opportunity. And so with the Charitable Roundtable, we have had the privilege of having so much information, and we want to make certain that it's relevant for nonprofits to use. I do see Luis added to our chat saying, create one or multiple videos communicating the mission, the why, and how of your organization. Use the videos to multiply your voice and efforts. Get it out by running ads, to specific demographic and or attend specific events with these individuals to communicate how you can help and the benefits and what's in it for them. Absolutely. We had Greg on. Go ahead, Brian.
You know, Luis' idea reminds me of this triangle that I was describing, because people say, hey, you should make a video. Well, you know, some people just don't want to do that. You know, they're not good at it. They don't have the equipment and such. It's like, I make videos. I just don't do the other parts of it. You know, so you know, get me the script and I'll do a video. You know, and I've done that for people, and so there's a synergy to having that in your maybe your mental database to say, well, if this idea could work if we've got someone else that can help by doing this other thing. Does that make sense?
It does. What you're talking about, believe it or not, there. So Greg Cross was here January and last month, and so Greg has Glimpse Video, and what he does for nonprofits is he will create a free video. He'll record it. He'll make it all the way that it's to be, and then give it to you, and you can use it to get the word out. And so Greg Cross with Glimpse Video is someone to definitely schedule a one-on-one with if you have.
And that's Frank's comment is that's what Luis does too, right? No.
Is that what you do, Luis? Okay, so that means
Yes, it is.
So that means we have more than one person that's in here that does that. That is fantastic. I do see.
I was a little sketchy on what Luis does.
Then let's see, SJ said Visage. Read your am I pronouncing that correct, SJ? Vistage roundtables come to mind, as do like models, C12 and Convene, especially for lower range staff. Number count and IQ are from Q. Okay. SJ, can you explain that a little bit, please?
Good stuff.
You're on mute. Uh-oh. I sent you ask you to unmute.
Oh.
I was asking.
Background noise, he says.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Well, Vistage is a network of CEOs, I think, right? And C12 is a network of Christian entrepreneurs and leaders.
So those are people that we should connect with in the nonprofit space on the grand scheme. And the reason that I'm turning my camera on and off is because of the flashing. I want to make certain that it's not doing that. Yes. So Margie, you're talking about Chris Borja's book, the 7 steps to networking. I don't know the title of it. It's amazing. March 15th, he is having his book launch, and it is expected to go to #1 on Amazon. He is currently selling advanced copies of it for the ebook version for 99 cents. So definitely it's worth it. He also does the Networking Breakthrough Academy. And so there's that. But I also want to share for those of us in the nonprofit space that we have on here with us, Jerry. And so Jerry is, he has a business called Pay It Forward. And what he's doing is connecting opportunities for fundraising to nonprofits. And so he is someone that if you had, so talk about good idea, great idea. When Jerry presented with me with the idea of the entertainment book, how many of us remember the entertainment book? Raise your hand. Everybody probably had 1, 2, maybe 3. I used it and I definitely got my money's worth out of it. And so when Jerry presented me with the idea of being able to partner with Pay It Forward to have so for COC to have its own free website to where we can actually raise money as a result. My first thought was, who's going to do all the work? That was the thing. It was like, but because of who Jerry is, he actually, their company does really all the hard work, and we just get to share the information. And so a good idea has become a great idea with Jerry. I've just got to get him the information for the organization, and then they'll create our website, and then we'll be able to get the information out. And so those, again, if you're in the nonprofit space, you want to connect with Jerry to see how see if it's for you. You may not have the network that I have, but it doesn't take a lot. I mean, everybody remembers the entertainment book. So please connect with Jerry. And so, Brian, again, you mentioned.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
I recently helped an organization. I think that from a great idea to an amazing idea. And what I mean by that is, this is my thought. Let's say Mary was to purchase an entertainment app. I believe, this is my opinion, a lot of people were asking a donation for anymore. That same person may not necessarily always have the money, or they want to give it, their money stretched in. But if Mary is to say, use this entertainment app correctly, and she saves $500 or $1,000 plus a year, now it's a great opportunity to follow up with her and say, how's the entertainment app? You know, by the way, maybe now she's more inclined to give an additional $50, $100, $200, because you just saved that person money in places they're going to shop anyways. So you just actually, I think, I've just seen it happen. Someone just got an additional $100. So maybe they want to give it, maybe they can give it. The bottom line is you just created some extra income. Now you can get additional fundraising for your organization using this tool.
Yeah. Yes, that's what you were. So if you would follow up with Jerry, he would give you that information. So thank you for sharing it now. But that is true. When people will buy the book because people want to save, and then once they're saving, then you can follow up with them and develop relationships. So the importance of being with us next month and developing the relationship, and then they will be, then you can ask them to make a donation, or because of them being thankful for how much they've saved as a result of using the entertainment book, they may want to go ahead and give a donation anyway. And so that's great.
Or you can do it the other way, where when they give a donation, maybe you ask for $50, you include that as the gift for the donation.
That's an option as well. People like to get stuff. They're more apt to, I hate to say it this way, but this is what I've seen all across the country, is people are more apt to give when they know they're getting something in return, when there's something associated with their give, more than the thank you. But if they get they get a wristband, they get a pin, they get some candy, they get the entertainment book, that could be so beneficial for the nonprofits that are in the space. And those of you that are friends of the roundtable that know nonprofits, invite them here, because this is information that can be beneficial to so many nonprofits. So, all right.
Most people won't give unless they get them. We know that by going to most people's Christmas parties.
Well, thank you, Jerry. So with that, Brian, one more thing. The statement that you said, and I put it in the chat, doing good anywhere. No, doing good. Say it. How do you say it?
Doing good anywhere does good everywhere.
Doing good anywhere does good everywhere. That is so profound. When I heard you say it, I put it in the chat because that means so much. Because how many of us do good, and then later we see the impact of it, and, you know, or maybe we don't see the impact of it, but we just know that it's doing good. And so I know, Brian, it's only 12:18 and we're going until 1 o'clock. So we still have a lot to talk about. So with ideas.
Oh, we are until 1 o'clock.
Hey, just to back up real quick, you know, Brian, I've heard Brian's saying before, and I just want to give a little context on it because I think it makes it that much more powerful and is useful for really everyone here. And Brian, correct me if I get the story wrong, but Brian was talking to somebody hoping that they would come through for Bravehearts, and they didn't. And they said, hey, we're putting our money somewhere else. And, you know, rather than, you know, challenging them or anything, he basically congratulated them and said, you know what, that's awesome. Doing good anywhere does good everywhere. You know, and basically went on to explain to the person, listen, you're supporting the world. That's going to come back to us some way or another. And I think a lot of times people get put out when, oh, you're not doing business with me? Well, you suck. No, I'm glad you're doing business with somebody. If I can ever help, let me know. So I heard that probably 2 years ago when I first met Brian. He shared that story, and I love it. So
thanks, Frank. Yeah, you know, that the organization that Frank's referring to, that where that happened is an organization that I think everyone should be aware of. It's called Benevity, and they're out of Calgary. They're a clearinghouse for making donations to from corporate, what we call Dollars for Doers program, corporate giving programs where volunteers involvement results in a grant from the company. And they have one of these things at the beginning of the pandemic. Is like, we got $300,000 to give away, and I send in an email, and I talked to somebody, or called or whatever it was, and they said, oh yeah, that was gone in the first 20 minutes. And I said, well, that's fine. I'm sure whoever got it is gonna do something good with it, because doing good anywhere does good everywhere. And the lady that I was talking to on the phone is, can I use that? And so she shared it with their CEO, and he put it in their newsletter the next month.
Wow.
And I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And it's just doing good anywhere does good everywhere. Do it because it's a good thing to do.
You know, and I will say, I just had that experience. So we have a fundraising campaign called Hairstyles and Beauty for Hope. And I travel all over the country, connecting with people in the hair and beauty industry. And so in April, the first weekend of April, 2 of the companies that we partner with as their charity are having an event the same day. And so, it's over the same weekend. What I was going to do was going to fly from Columbus, Ohio to New Orleans, Louisiana, be there for 1 day, and then fly from New Orleans to Anaheim, California, and be there for a day, and then fly back home, which in my mind, I felt I could do it. I mean, I would sacrifice, take one for the team. But people were like, you shouldn't do that, Mary. You shouldn't. You should put all your energies with the one that's going to benefit the organization the most. And I said, I understand, but the second group, our relationship is new. The first group, our relationship is 10 years old. And so I'm big on loyalty, and I didn't want to risk that relationship with the first group just because of everything that the second group is offering. And so what I did is I had a conversation with the first group, and I explained the situation. And what they said to me was, Mary, it is absolutely okay. Go ahead and go with the other group, because I'm looking at what's best for the organization. And for them to be on board to help you is going to mean you're going to be able to make a bigger impact for people that are battling cancer. And so he understood that premise of doing good anywhere is doing good everywhere. And so he said, you have my blessing. Go ahead and go to California, take your team to California and raise money to help people battling cancer. We'll see you in July when you come to our show in July. And I was like, wow. But he understood that, doing good anywhere, it's doing good everywhere. Because he could have easily said, well, he could have felt some kind of way by us not being with him. And so thank you, Frank, for sharing that. And thank you, Brian, as well, because that's important. Has anyone else had any experience where they engaged with someone that was going to make a donation and chose to go someplace else and saw that it was still a beneficial thing? Anybody?
Happens all the time.
I know it happens to us all the time, but
It happens all the time.
well, I do know. So it's like when you connect with people, you never know, you never know what's the magnitude of that connection. So, oh, thank you, Brian, for putting Benevity in there. It's funny. We're a Benevity charity, and I don't know who signed us up. And we just randomly get checks from them and like, wait a minute, who are these people? And we send them a message and say, thank you.
Yeah, because you get a check and it says somebody that works at the Hartford Insurance or something like that. And it's like, wow, how'd you find it?
How did they find us? And so people, and that's the beautiful thing. People are always listening. People are looking for ways to give. They're just, they want to make certain that when they give, that they're giving to something that is going to truly make an impact. And so here we go. When we come up with these good ideas that we hope are great ideas, we have to make certain that they're going to speak to the people, not only the people that we serve, but the people that support us. Because I will tell you, this is a good idea I had. I think it was a good idea. Wait, let me fix my monitor or my little box. I felt it was a good idea. Nobody else felt it was a good idea, but I felt it was a good idea. And it was skydiving for hope. And it was going to be around Halloween. And I was like, we can call it the scary dive, where we would we would do tandem skydiving. And I was so excited about it. I found somebody that volunteered to create the flyer. I found somebody that volunteered to find out the different places where you can go and skydive. And my board was like, are you crazy? And I'm like, what? Let's do it. It's great. It's a great idea. So of course we didn't do it. But I planned it in my mind. I mean, we did all this work. We had people that were willing to do it. But then on the day that we were planning on doing it, one person came down with COVID, so they couldn't do it. And then the winds were really, really bad. And so the company that was going to approve the skydiving said that they couldn't go up. And so my board felt that it was really God's way of trying to tell me to stay on the ground, be in a plane and stay on the ground, not jumping out of planes. But I thought it was a good idea. I thought it would have been great, but nobody else did.
Mary, I'm always careful to use the term great idea carefully, because it's somebody has an idea. Oh, wow, that's a great idea. No, it's not a great idea, not yet. It's a good idea, or that's a fun idea. There are other ways that you can describe that. That's a fantastic idea. That when Adrian, one of our supporters of Bravehearts, came up with the idea of hot air balloons with a zip line down to the riverboat, that's a fantastic idea, because it's kind of like a fantasy. So, but you'll have those, and you'll have sometimes a fantastic idea is exactly what you need to do. Somebody says, well, you should have an ice bucket challenge. Like, what does that mean? For somebody at one time, that was a really, really great idea.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because they raised over $5 million. That was an amazing idea. And I'm like, wow, because it took off, and you wouldn't think that people would be all excited about pouring ice water. Some did ice water over their head, but people were excited to do that because of the cause. And I'm like, okay, all right.
Well, it became a topper or something at a higher level, because I remember there was a 11-yard side dump semi truck full of water that a guy had dumped on himself, and crazy stuff.
I've got a
we-
question. How many
yeah.
took the ice bucket challenge? You guys didn't take the ice bucket challenge? Oh my goodness.
No. You know what I did? I
What'd you
wrote a
do?
check.
Wrote a check.
Because that's what a lot of people did. They're like, well, I'm not going to write money.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing that. I'll get you a check. Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, their thing was I'll just have ice water dumped on me, and then that I don't have to give money. That's what they were doing. A lot of people were doing, because that's how it was spelled out. You take water and you just challenge other people. So you either take water or write a check. That's how it was. And I just said,
That's how it was supposed to be, but
That's
people took water and wrote checks.
Well, yeah. The guy who nominated me is a cheap SOB. He didn't write a check. I'll guarantee it. I'll bet the water wasn't even cold.
So yeah, like the coaches now, if they're just about ready to win a championship game, they've got a special tub full of Gatorade that doesn't have ice in it, so it's not dangerously cold to get dumped on these guys. Ice bucket challenge. So there's a lot of crazy. We had one for our National Bravehearts Day last year. I had one of our friends. She wrote a little song, a Bravehearts song. She's a musician from LA and performed that for the National Bravehearts Day. And we had the idea originally that I would do a song, and then we'd say, "All right, you can do better than that. Let's hear your version." And good idea, just we've never done anything with it, except I did record a song. And it's one of those things where you have a song that has a certain cadence. I'm not a musician, but I can do the song either to Ghost Riders in the Sky or Amazing Grace, to those tunes. And Bravehearts for Kids, our mission is hope and inspiration. Or Hearts for Kids, you just those are good ideas, but we haven't done the steps involved with them to turn them into great ideas. And it's because there's only a certain amount of time that you have and a certain amount of energy and talent and just other things getting in the way, So
I have a question for you, Lauren. What current events do you have to help bring about awareness for PCs for People? Or do you have events? Or how do you go about your donors and people, and how do you go about that currently?
So we don't do too much with events in terms of getting computers donated. We're really focused on getting those business and organizational computers. A lot of people will say, and somebody probably put it in the chat here, the obvious thing is, why don't you just have a recycling drive and people bring their old household computers and set up on the street corner and publicize it? And we do that every once in a while, but we tend to get computers that are beyond their usable life, or a higher percentage of unusable computers. Whereas when we go to like Morningstar or the American Bar Association or Hyatt International Headquarters, we'll have a high percentage of reusable computers that we can pick up all in one day. So we don't really do too many events on that side. Now we do events to distribute computers all the time. And there we usually partner with social service agencies, boys and girls clubs, organizations that are already reaching low income recipients. But we don't really do too many events to collect computers. It's more the networking, the one-on-one reaching out to organizations, reaching out to IT managers, sustainability managers, because we're zero landfill with our recycling. So that's a lot of what we do. Does that answer your question?
It does. What would it look like if, say, you went to the Bar Association and and asked them if they could contact other bar associations and then have them, create a day of pickup for computers if they have them.
Yeah,
Is that a possible thing to do?
Yeah, we don't do it so much around events, but so we work with the American Bar Association, which is like the national association, and we always ask any organization that contributes to us, can you refer us, if you're happy with our service, can you refer us to other organizations? And we get some referrals, and not as many as I would like. And the American Bar Association, I think, is planning on writing an article about us in one of their newsletters. We ask folks to do that too, because if that goes out to law firms or to state bar associations in the states where we have a presence, that would be golden.
What about banks? And I say banks because I know, I remember years ago when the Huntington Bank went through, they just were upgrading everything. And they had a ton of computers that I don't know what they did with them. But I know when banks go through their upgrade process, which usually happens more often than not, they have them available. Have you contacted any banks?
Oh, we do all the time. We have banks that are among our partners. They have a long decision cycle because everybody is worried about their data, but banks and hospitals are especially worried about it. And we have a solution for deleting all their data or shredding their hard drives if we can't delete it. But yeah, banks are great, and it's often in the larger banks like Huntington, it's often hard to get to the right person or people to talk to. So if anybody has intros in those places, I'd love to have them.
Lauren, when somebody takes a computer to somewhere to shred their hard drive or do whatever they need to do to recycle it or throw it out, who does that part of the service? Who deletes the data?
Oh, so we do that. That's part of.
If it's not you, who would they take it to? Because what I'm thinking is if there's a service that does that, that would be maybe a conduit for you, a connection.
Yeah, often what happens, there are a lot of for-profit organizations that do electronics recycling.
Okay.
And sometimes you pay them to do it. Sometimes they might pay you depending on what the equipment is. And when I say you, I mean an organization, an individual. It could be hit or miss. And then sometimes it's a break-even kind of thing, and they'll delete the data, and then they'll sell the computer on eBay to the highest bidder, or take it apart for commodities, depending how old it is. So there's other folks who do what we do for profit.
So if like the Geek Squad, for example, if somebody took something in there to shred things for them, they would probably already have a place for the computer that wouldn't necessarily be here, let's get it to PCs for people then.
Yeah, Best Buy does it to bring customers in the door to buy new stuff, which is great. And they also do it as a profit center, which is great. They're a for-profit organization. But so they're not usually good partners for us to hand off that equipment they collect. We want to get to it before it goes to those kinds of folks.
So what Lauren and I just did is we took a good idea and we decided, there's no sense in trying to make a great idea out of making a connection with Best Buy. Something like that. Is that getting back to our workshop today, that's part of the idea of what you do with good ideas. You say, well, that's a good idea. How would it work? Who puts the time into it? Who's got the talent for it? Who has the energy for it?
I think that the cost, something you're saying here, Brian, I think is cost benefit. Like we can really take our truck. So we have one truck that covers all of northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, parts of Indiana, one truck that does pickups and distributions. We could take that and park it in a mall parking lot for a day and have 4 or 5 employees out there for 6 to 8 hours. And what would we get? We would get some stuff. We would get some good computers and we'd get some recycling. But there's a better use for those 5 employees and those 8 hours of the truck. So it's just looking at the cost benefit, I think. And we've done compromise things, like some organization. We had a Rotary Club that said, we want to do a collection. We know lots of small businesses in the area and household people. So we came up with a compromise where you do the collection. We'll give you guidelines. You want to do it on a Saturday. Our employees don't work Saturday and Sunday. You find a place to store it. We'll come in first thing Monday morning and pick it up. And that worked great because they had volunteers who wanted to give and had time on Saturday and Sunday. They set it all up. We gave them a little guidance and we picked it up on Monday. We're going to try to do that. That's kind of that compromise idea.
That's what I was alluding to is to have some types of things like that. Because those actually, you really don't know how successful those can be, but they can be very successful.
Yeah. And then they can lead to getting your name out in the community. So like the Rotary one, we also got referrals to a small business and a municipality from that event that led to us picking up computers directly at those locations.
Yeah, and Rotary International is in Chicagoland, and as is Lions International.
Hey,
That's
Lauren,
good.
are you familiar with Micro Center?
Yes, because I used to live in Columbus.
Okay. So do you have contact for them?
I don't personally. They would probably be handled by my counterpart in Cleveland. But if you know somebody there, we'd love to have the intro.
So I used to work in the corporate office there. I actually worked for Micro Center for 10 years. So Peggy Cochran is the name that comes to mind, but she might be retired maybe. But Tom Welsh is the GM for the Bethel Road store. So you could try calling the corporate office, which is on Leap Road. They're in Columbus. So you could try calling them and maybe trying to talk to Peggy Cochran, because she would be able to direct you to the person that you would need to speak with. But if she's retired and they kind of close the door on you, then you could always start with Tom, who is at the Bethel Road store. He's the general manager there.
Okay, thanks.
That is good to know. Good to know.
Well, we have lost our founder. Frank had to leave. And
that's okay, because he'll watch the recording.
He'll be back next time. Yeah.
From the time that he left. Oh, my whole thing is doing it again. So we are at 12:42, and this is around the time when we kind of wrap things up. And so I would like to ask those of you that are remaining with us, do you have a takeaway from what you heard on today? That you'd like, what did you get out of this? Was this beneficial for you? I know it was for me, and I'll give my remarks at last. So if you would like to go, you can either raise your hand using digital or just raise your hand.
Oh, Mary, when I wrap up a meeting, one of the things that I do is we ask for the feedback on the key takeaways, and what has that inspired you to commit to. So if that's not too much to keep track of for everybody.
Okay.
So
what you got out of today, and then how has it inspired you?
Yeah.
What do you do about it?
What do you do about it? We talked about good ideas and great ideas. So how will you impact? How will you embrace that for what you do? Go ahead, Luis.
Honestly, the saying, right? Like doing good anywhere is doing good everywhere. That's something that really resonated with me because it's something I've always believed in. And to me, it's just a reminder to stay the course. Like, especially moving to a new state, not knowing anyone. Like it's like there's so many uncertainties, but knowing that no matter where you are, as long as you do what's right and you try to support and you have good intention, things always fall into place. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank
Louis.
you. Thank you. Anyone else? Or next? Go ahead, Lauren.
Well, I would say, first of all, thanks for making so much of this about PCs for people. I didn't intend to hijack, but so thank you. And hopefully some of the ideas apply to other folks too, even if it was through the PCs for people lens. And I would say that the whole good idea, great idea, and sifting through and trying to do that. I come up with lots of ideas. I try to sift through them before I even take them to my manager, instead of just throwing a lot towards my manager. And I'm going to try to do that even better. And then in terms of focusing my time on the better ideas, I think there's good or there's great. There's a continuum. I think there's probably some better than others that are closer to great.
Yeah.
And try to focus on the best.
Okay.
And thanks
like
for
that.
time.
Thank you. Go ahead, SJ.
Now I can talk again. Yay. Well, first of all, thank you for your understanding earlier. And I put a bunch of links in the chat, and I gave Brian R. the kudos he deserved for knowing exactly what I was talking about. Yes, great job. All right, as for these two things back to back, what did I get out of it? Even as a friend of the roundtable, it's not going to directly impact, but there's always indirect impact. And I believe this was a great example of a concept that needs to be talked about more, which is compounded learning. You hear about compound interest as the 8th wonder of the world, but I'd say the 9th or 10th wonder of the world is compounded learning. And as the education Sherpa, it fits right into who I am called to be and why I'm doing it. And then as for the call to action, I do some work and I want to do a lot more with social impact, social enterprises through consulting or mentoring. And I can take this kind of stuff, file it away, refer back to it for future purposes from the outside, even though I am not actually in the nonprofit space.
That is good.
Great.
We definitely, it's great when the information that is shared impacts nonprofits, but as well as the friends of the roundtable. That means a lot. So thank you, SJ. Go ahead, Margie.
So I agree with SJ. I am not in the nonprofit realm. I'm a friend, I guess. Part of what my company does, or part of what I do with my company, is I look at charitable organizations, and my role is community outreach. So, like we've given each of our associates 8 paid hours to volunteer with a charity of choice this year. And so I'm kind of the liaison to find those charities and present those opportunities to our employees. And so, this fits right into that. So I can appreciate that. And I also think, the brainstorming piece, it's like, that's talked about in business all the time, but you don't really think about it. So I love that, because it's not specific to nonprofit, businesses can use it too. So I really enjoyed that. I've really taken a lot out of this meeting, and I do love that what you have said, that doing good anywhere does good everywhere. I love that. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Margie. Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate the time to be able to come here and just learn and grow and network. And it has been really inspirational for me, especially I'm new to Columbus as well. I've only been here a short amount of time. And to be able to learn about different nonprofits, learn about some of the challenges, the upsides, downsides, how to network, that stuff's really important to me. I want to join some boards and continue to help in any way that I can. So yeah, they're kind of like a friend of the nonprofit space. So this has been really good. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to share?
How about Brian Curtis?
I didn't see him raise his hand and he didn't come off mute.
I'm surprised that Brian Curtis doesn't have.
It's okay. Jerry, did you have something that, the other Jerry, there's 2 Brians and 2 Jerrys. How cool. Did you want to add something, Jerry?
Yeah, you know, I put this organization together because, from the inspiration of meeting organizations, from going to different networking meetings, I met Mary at one of the events. I already put this into play, but and you said out of love, Brian. I think it's been that's why I started this whole thing, and what I started noticing as my own business for other things I do, I you know, meet a lot of organizations. I felt, you know, big organizations are great, but I felt no matter sometimes now how much time or money you give them, there's not much dent you can do. So that's why I put this together, because I wanted to give the small organizations a place to be seen and heard and try to connect everyone together. And kind of my slogan is not, I can't maybe save the world, but I can influence mine. And so I'm sharing that message for other professionals to get involved with these organizations to help them. And so I've tried to put a platform that's readily out there easily, because a lot of times people aren't going to go out of their way to find something. So I felt if I put a platform that's out there and introduce people, Jerry Brown came to one of my organizations. Maybe people are more inclined to get involved with these organizations because it's right there for them. So I'm continually trying to help these small organizations with their fundraising or their volunteers or their resources. So, and I'm hoping to bring more people to your organizations, and you never know when that next person is going to be the game changer for someone's what they're doing.
That is definitely true.
Great.
Definitely true. All right. Well, we are at 12:51. I want to give you first, thank you again for everyone coming. Give my final thoughts. I am a firm believer that doing good anywhere does good everywhere. I absolutely believe in working together. And so in what I'm finding is many nonprofits don't work together, and they don't work together because of the focus being on the dollar versus the mission. And so I encourage, you know, nonprofits, like if somebody brings to you or if somebody comes to you and says they want to donate clothing and you don't take clothing, don't discourage the person. You know, another nonprofit that takes clothing, refer them to the other nonprofit. And then that's continuing the doing good and doing good. And so compounding it, as SJ said. And so that was my big thing. Oh, you had something else? Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. I saw that, Louise. We have a meeting coming up. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Remember, next month on the second Friday.
That's the 14th.
The 14th. I was going to say, what date was it? On the 14th at 11:30, we will have Chris Borja with us talking about, Lord, I didn't put it down. I had it written down what our topic is going to be, and I don't know what I did with it.
Networking.
It's definitely networking. Networking to create great relationships. And that is what we all need, whether nonprofit or for-profit. We all need to have great relationships. So I'm looking forward to that. So with that, I want to say to everyone, thank you. I want to thank Brian for his sharing. You did a wonderful job. Thank you so much for sharing such information. This recording will be available for you to watch later and share, and we'll get the YouTube channel up and all those things and put them on there. So I'm excited about that. And with that, I'm going up. You want to have one more thing, Brian? Go ahead.
What, just a couple of quick feedbacks on, I think Lauren mentioned there's ideas, great ideas, and and terrific ideas, things like that. This idea hierarchy, I didn't really go into the detail on that. There are noble ideas and transcendent ideas, and then there's one idea, like Jack Palance, the one thing. There's that one, that's at the pinnacle. And when you got that, you got it all. And SJ mentioned compound learning. I did the math on this this concept, not so much compound learning, but if I can just be 1% better today, just 1% better, I can be twice as good in 72 days. And guess what? In 9 years, I can be 1 trillion times as good as I am now. And that's taking weekends off. So 1%, just 1% better. That's all you need to do.
All right. I love it. I'm gonna add one thing too in our and with that, let me do my camera. Invite one person to the charitable roundtable. If we all invite one person, we will continue to expand.
In 3 years, we'll have the whole world here.
All right. Well, everyone have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you in the charitable roundtable again next month. All right.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Mary Jenkins.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Jerry. Thanks, Jerry. Lauren. All right. See you next time.